All right, guys, we are back and ready to go here for the finals. And it is going to be Scrapie versus Evon here to see who can get the job done. Right now, I think everybody's just getting ready to go here. Evon taking a nice cruise here through the grass. But before we hop into it, guys, a big shout out to our sponsors here, XP Sports and Logitech G. Be sure to check them out and the panels down below. Also, of course, be sure to check out our new merch store as well. Links to that can be in the chat for you. But we are just about ready here, guys. It's all come down to this. Scrapie has fought his way from the bottom 8 down to 2 drivers here. Between himself and Evon, one of these drivers will get that golden ticket to go to the playoffs and join the rest of the group tomorrow. But only one driver here can get that opportunity, Scrapie or Evon. We'll see who it is here in just a few short moments. But right now, the pressure is going to be at its peak here as we get this one started. Scrapie looking for a strong performance. We're going to be kicking it off on reversing, which was the pick of Evon, surprisingly so, considering I would say reversing is actually a pretty good map for Scrapie. But Scrapie, he actually picked Arctic Split and Bicycle were Scrapie's picks, so definitely stay tuned for those as well. Right now, though, reversing our first run through here, going to be neck and neck, and kind of what you'd expect here in a best-of-5 grand final. Both of these drivers proving themselves to be the 2 strongest throughout the day, but only 2 of them remain and 1 can make it through. Scrapie, though, into the reverse section here, looking a little bit cleaner around the edges. Evon, I think, actually spun out there. He's down to about a second behind. Yeah, Evon definitely went down and out there, so Scrapie looking clean for the first win here. Scrapie off to a nice start. Just has to maintain that consistency and hold on here. And it's looking like he should be able to pick up the first race here. Right now, though, Scrapie's in knockout mode. Let's see if he can get it done. That's a big punch to start it off. And Scrapie, he's going to get it. And it looks like, oh, actually, Evon got in by 0.02 seconds to block the knockout. 0.02 seconds, guys. The knockout has been blocked so far. What a close attempt there, though, from Scrapie, and it is going to be a tough one. Going into the reverse section. All he has to do is keep this one clean. Scrapie back into knockout mode as well. We'll see if he can clean this one up around the final turns. Scrapie just going to take it safe and take the win regardless, though. Either way, it was Scrapie's to take this time around. Very nicely done on the opening run. A nice little knockout to start this one off. Here we have it, though. Scrapie looking to grab his second point here and the first map in this best-of-5. It's not an easy process here, but Scrapie has started it off on the right foot. Evon already a little bit behind here to kick off the second run through on reversing. Surprising that this was his map choice and he's not able to keep up just yet. Scrapie with a great opportunity, though, to take this first one with the 2-0 sweep. A nice 2-0 start here would be great for Scrapie, but it may not be that easy here. Look at Evon cleaning up his reverse section of track, and he's actually looking for the overtake. And there you have it. It is going to be Evon with the slight lead now going into lap number 2 here. Evon still feeling the pressure. Scrapie very close behind him. A neck-and-neck performance, to say the least. Right now, it is anybody's to take away here. Scrapie with the overtake, and now starting to pull ahead a little bit, but this is not anywhere near close enough to be comfortable on this track. Both drivers vying for that victory. Scrapie looking for another one here to go back-to-back to kick off the grand final. Evon, though, he wants to get this pass right back onto him. The reverse section here will be the deciding factor. Both of these drivers still right next to each other as we go down into it. Scrapie holding on to just a slight lead. The question is, does he go for the flip coming out of it, or will he reverse all the way through to the finish line? This is going to be the factor that could change it all here. Scrapie going for the full reversal. He hits the barrier, though, and Evon gets the win. What a rough way to go down there. An unfortunate one, to say the least. Scrapie, he had everything in the cards, but unfortunately the barrier strikes again, and it will be Scrapie tied up now with Evon as we go into the third race here on reversing. Scrapie looking to get that second win here as we continue forward. Evon keeping this one very close, though, as we're all tied up already in the grand final. No surprises here, though. Scrapie, he's shown consistency across this track, but that last barrier hit definitely rattled him a bit. I'd imagine at this point the pressure is so high because one of these drivers will make it through to the finals and the other won't even have a shot in tomorrow's finals for the TMGL season. So a lot at stake here. A potential TMGL season win for the driver that comes out of it. But it all comes down to this here, this best of 5 grand final. Scrapie off to a decent start here, but it's definitely neck and neck coming out of the first lap. Still anybody's race to take away here. Scrapie needs to try and do something to get that extra confidence here in the second lap, because Evon is starting to apply the pressure nicely here and make this a much closer race. Scrapie's still in a lead, but barely by a nose here, keeping that distance. Evon goes for the inside cut here, and it is going to pay off. Scrapie losing just a little bit of ground, but he's going to pick it up quite nicely here in the last couple of turns. Still anybody's race to take away. Going into the reverse section here, it is going to be extremely close here. Scrapie going head-to-head with Evon in the reverse section. Now it's down to the wire. Scrapie just a little bit behind, though, and Evon may just have it at this point. And that's going to be it. Scrapie banks the wall. Evon will secure the win here, and that will be reversing, going in favor of Evon now with a second win. An unfortunate one, to say the least, here for Scrapie. He had such a good start, but now the start is slowly slipping away from him, and we'll see exactly what's in store for the remainder here on reversing. Scrapie, though, the big thing for him is it's not over yet. There is still time for him to get the job done here, and hopefully he can have a clean run through this time around. He's led early on every single race at the start. It just seems to be that reverse section that gets to him. With Scrapie, though, if he can clean up his lines a little bit in the rest of the track, he might be able to give himself enough room to take the reverse section a little bit safer, and I think ultimately that might be the route he needs to take here, considering any risks he's taken in that reverse section have basically come back to hurt him the majority of the time here. We'll see what he can do this run through, but right now he's got to keep it clean and keep his distance out in front, just in case something small happens towards the end. As you can see, though, rounding out the first lap, one of the best runs he's had lap for lap throughout this race so far. Definitely looking good here if he can keep a hold of it. Extending the lead now to 0.5 seconds. Great work coming out from Scrapie, and he's looking for the knockout here. He's going to get it. Evon's down and out. Scrapie, he just has to keep this one clean. Doesn't even have to worry about the reverse section, and we're already tied up again, 2-2. And it's all going to come down to this one here. Scrapie bringing it to a tie. This is going to be a very important race for both of these drivers here. It could ultimately be the one that pivots either of these drivers towards a grand finals win here in the final chance qualifier for tomorrow's playoffs of the TMGL. Scrapie currently off to an early lead advantage here. Not by too much just yet, about 0.25 seconds on the clock. Scrapie feeling that confidence though after the KO victory in the previous run through, and he is steamrolling into an early lead, 0.63 seconds at its peak so far. Scrapie getting a good feel for this track, and now he has the lead advantage where he doesn't have to do the full reversal in the drop down section here either time if he keeps this kind of lead advantage, and this is what Scrapie needed. Even if things potentially do get a little bit slowed down for him, he still has the flexibility of being able to flip here rather than having to put it in reverse for the rest of the track. And that's a huge advantage for Scrapie to have, because that's the one section here that seemed to give him trouble. But Evon, he's gone down and out again. Scrapie, he's going to get the knockout here, and that is going to be it. Scrapie hits the next checkpoint and it's over. Scrapie wins by KO twice in a row, and Scrapie is now back in the lead here. Scrapie looking to close it out, get the 1-0 lead overall. But now the pressure is on to get the job done. Evon, though, struggling under the last couple run-throughs here. Has to give Scrapie some good confidence here. But right now, Evon, will he fall to the pressure or will he rise to the occasion here? We're about to find out. Scrapie sitting on map point here for the first map. If he can get this one done, it will be an early lead here in the series for Scrapie. Evon this time around not making the same mistakes though. Very close race at the moment. Evon with the slide overtake now as we go into the reverse section. Scrapie still vying for position here. Neck and neck coming out of it. Evon, though, having a lot of errors on this track, holds up well for Scrapie. As we go into the second lap, Evon starting to build a bit of a lead, though. The real question now is, will Evon be able to hold on to take us to a sudden death here on the first map, or will Scrapie find a way to clutch this one out and get his first points up on the board? 0.3 seconds out in front for Evon. It's a pretty good lead gap, but not enough to feel completely comfortable just yet. One small mistake from Evon gives Scrapie an opportunity to slide in here. Coming out of it, though, it's going to be Scrapie still fighting for position. Evon barely holding on to that lead going into the reverse section here. It's Scrapie up against Evon for the remainder of the track. It's going to be a tough one here. Scrapie gets a nice little inside cut, but not enough to take the lead just yet coming out of this one. It looks like Evon has the advantage here, but will the barrier hit come through? It is going to be a barrier hit, but not enough to block Evon. He still manages to corner his way in just barely there, and it will be Evon finding the tie, and we'll be going into a sudden death here on map number 1, race number 7. It's all down to the wire here. Scrapie going for the early lead advantage. But this one, as we've seen, is going to come down to the wire for sure. Scrapie with a slight edge on the early lead, but definitely not in full control for him just yet. Evon playing this one very safe and very close to Scrapie so far on the track. Scrapie still maintaining a small lead, but not enough just yet. He still has to keep pushing through here. Scrapie trying to do what he can to extend this lead gap, but it's not working out too well just yet. Evon staying very, very close behind him. Going into the first reverse section, Scrapie needs to try and find ways in this section to recover a bit more time than he usually does. This section isn't enough for him to be safe just yet. He has to be very conscientious of his decisions here. Evon, did he just spin out into the wall? We're going to see on the next checkpoint here. It is Evon spun out into the wall. This is going to be it. Scrapie's going to win by a KO here. What a way for it to come down to. Scrapie hits the wall, but it doesn't matter. He already passed the checkpoint. It's over. Scrapie wins it by KO. What a way for this one to go down. Amazing work from Scrapie here, guys, on map number 1. It's a 1-0 lead down in the grand finals, and it is going to be a first to 5 as well. But that was on Evon's map pick, which means the next map will be Scrapie's map choice, which I believe is going to be Arctic Split for the first map choice, which is actually the final race in the top 4 that got him through. So it makes sense that he would pick this one here. We'll see what he goes for. Right now, though, it is going to be Scrapie. Off to a nice early start here. Evon, though, looking a little bit cleaner coming out of that first turn. Scrapie, though, looking for the road to recovery already. About half a second behind. Not the start he was hoping for, but keeping this one a little bit closer now as he starts to chip away. Scrapie, though, this is his map pick, so really the pressure's on him to continue what he's done already on the first map going into this one. Scrapie, though, as we saw in the previous run-throughs, his big saving grace was really that uphill section of track here at the end. And if he can continue to perform as we saw in the previous round on that, I think he could pull this one off. We'll see how it pans out right now. Evon and Scrapie going head-to-head in this section. And as we can see, Scrapie continuing to chip away. Evon takes the hit. Scrapie has the KO opportunity now already on the table in this map. And Scrapie, he's going to grab the KO here to kick it off. Nicely done in the first one already. It's already over. Scrapie picks up the first victory, but he needs 4 in total on the map to secure it, so still a lot of work left to be done, but that is a good confidence booster to kick this one off. Evon going to be looking for a recovery here now on map number 2, while Scrapie starting to feel a little bit comfortable here as he goes into the second run. Evon looking to try and cut his way into the lead here, but Evon's got to be careful. He's been taking a lot of risks, and Scrapie's actually already won in the grand finals, I believe 4 different KOs now, and that's not really something you want to see in a grand finals if you're Evon. Like, that's a lot of heavy risks not working out for you. Right now, though, Scrapie is fighting from behind here in the second run through, but that uphill section of track, I think that's the advantage Scrapie has in this head-to-head. Going into the uphill section of track, Scrapie trying to keep it clean around the corner. Actually loses a little bit of momentum on that first go. This time around, though, Evon making a bit better headway on it. Scrapie, though, with a nice cut inside to keep things close going into lap number 2. Coming out of the first turn, though, Scrapie swings back a big chunk of time here. Still not going to be the lead in his hands just yet, but this is going to be a very tight-knit race here in the final lap. Evon looking to find his first here and tie things up on Arctic Split, but right now Scrapie is well within striking distance of the overtake here. It's really going to come down to that final section of hills, because Scrapie, he's made it about as close as you can at this point. And now that final uphill section is really going to be the key factor here for both of these drivers. Going down into it, Evon does have about a 0.3 second lead. Scrapie had a bit of a shaky landing a few moments back there, but really now it's just a matter of Evon cleaning things up to try and hold on here, and Scrapie trying to chip away at the last minutes. Unfortunately, though, no mistakes have been made, and Evon seems to be very clean around the corners here, and he will indeed be the one to take this second run. Pretty close, but all in all, Evon able to take the second run through, tying things up 1-1 here on map number 2. Still, it's a best of 5 grand finals, and you have to win 4 times to get your point here on this one. So still anybody's for the taking here on Arctic Split. As I mentioned, this is Scrapie's pick, though, so ideally this would be the one for him to win. But as we saw on reversing, which was Evon's pick, Scrapie did manage the win himself. But it came down to a sudden death 4-3, and I honestly expect a lot of these maps between these two drivers to come down to the wire just because they've shown to be very, very close performance-wise throughout the day so far. Right now, though, Scrapie, that's going to be probably a KO, potentially. He had hit the reset button there. I'm not sure how far behind that put him, though. And I think that's going to be it. Scrapie's probably going to take the KO here. It was bound to happen at some point. One bad move, and the KO is pretty much inevitable after that. So it's going to be a KO win for Evon here. And there you have it, 2-1 in favor of Evon now on map number 2. Here we have it, though. Scrapie going into it. Now down by 1. Looking to tie it here in this next run-through. A lot of pressure being felt here. But Scrapie, not the best of starts this time around. He's actually already about 0.7 behind. Not what you like to see at the start of a race here. Scrapie already going to have to think about recovery and hope that a mistake comes out from Evon that gives him a chance to capitalize and move back into the fight. Scrapie changing it up, though, starting to go for his inside cut again on the pillar instead of taking it wide like he has been. We'll see if that decision plays to his favor later on. Right now, though, Scrapie definitely a bit of a shaky start on this run through as well. Evon looking pretty confident now on Arctic Split ever since that first run. Going into the uphill turns, Evon trying to cut it close, but Scrapie still recovering nicely in this section. Going into lap 2, it's going to be 0.5 seconds for the lead in favor of Evon, looking for 3 wins in a row here on this track. Scrapie, though, starting to feel the pressure a bit here in race number 2. This track proving to be a bit more challenging for him than the first, but still a winnable one. Scrapie with the nice overtake here in the final lap. Takes it wide to be safe as well, building a lead now of about 0.4. Scrapie, things are looking much better here to potentially close it out. Evon starting to catch up a little bit, but going into the uphill section, it should be Scrapie with a slight lead advantage. Scrapie going to be up by 0.4, just has to keep it clean in the uphill section here, and he should be able to close this one out. Still a 0.4 second lead around each turn here. He's got one final hill to climb, and this will be it. Scrapie will take it, tying it up 2-2. Nice recovery from Scrapie, though, for sure. Evon, for the longest time, looked like he was going to have this race and take the 3-1 lead, but Scrapie showing his resilience there, pulls it back to the tie, and now has the potential to push forward and try and take a second map in a row. Right now, though, it is going to be a very tough race to continue forward. Scrapie still fighting neck and neck against Evon to try and get the job done. But Evon already falling behind here at the start. Scrapie with a 0.5 second lead to kick off the 5th run-through on Arctic Split. Very nice start from Scrapie. All he has to do now is hold on to it and do what he does best. And this could be another one in the books. Very clean start indeed from Scrapie, keeping that momentum on his side here. Scrapie, he's looking for the knockout. Evon has gone down and out. Scrapie looking for another victory here. This could be it, just has to keep it clean, and this is going to be the knockout. Scrapie, big knockout coming through onto Evon here, and just like that, the lead has been reversed in 2 quick rounds. Scrapie back on top. Now Scrapie one win away from making it a 2-0 advantage and putting himself on match point to make it all the way through the final chance. The pressure definitely starting to get very, very high here, though. Scrapie, he has to maintain the consistency and keep fighting as he has been. He can't afford to take his foot off the gas just yet. Right now, though, a 3-2 lead for Scrapie here on this second map. A nice inside cut. Evon slips on it. That's going to be a huge momentum boost. Scrapie, could he get the KO again here? Evon, how much time did he actually lose there, though? That's the real question. He definitely made a mistake, but it's only about a 0.2 second behind mistake, but still a nice lead here for Scrapie, but not nice enough to take the W just yet. 0.3 seconds into the uphill section. Evon's going to try to chip away some time here, but Scrapie, notoriously strong in this section, just needs to keep his consistency right where it needs to be, and this should be his race to win. Right now, going into the next lap, it's going to be Scrapie in the lead by almost half a second here into the big ice turn, keeps it consistent throughout, keeps the time on his side. Evon still trying to chip away here. One bad move from Scrapie is all it's going to take here, so Scrapie just needs to keep this one clean, and it will be another map point on the table. Right now, the lead extended to about 0.6. Scrapie continuing to have a clean performance here in the final lap. Really, that uphill section and this turn right here, the only potentials for big errors to come out, and he cleans it right through to make this lead 1 full second going in the uphill section. Scrapie now just has to hold on through the hills here, and he will be indeed in a 2-0 lead. Into the uphill section, it's going to be Scrapie rounding the first corner with a lot of success here. Keeping the momentum on his side is key here. No pillar hits going into the final turn here. Scrapie keeping it clean around the corner. That is it. He's going to take the win here, and more importantly, the map along with it will be his. Amazing performance from Scrapie here so far in the grand finals. Uncontested on maps, 2-0. And he is just one map away, guys, from making it all the way through an incredibly difficult final chance run to get himself into tomorrow's playoffs. Scrapie, he had a rough regular season, but he has shown up in a very remarkable way here in the last chance qualifier. We'll see if he can make it through, though. He still needs one more map to make that happen, and this is where things are going to be very intense, because right now the pressure might be on Evon, but we are going into a map where Evon is very strong, and Scrapie has been historically pretty rough around the edges here on this map. There's a lot of room for errors, but Scrapie, maybe the confidence is there now to get the job done on Slalom, but this is not an easy map for Scrapie to go for the win on. Scrapie, though, off to an early lead here, keeping it clean around the edges as well, making sure he's very focused here. And you can tell, even just off of those runs we saw earlier, Scrapie seems very, very attentive here and already performing better than what we saw even earlier on in the day on these same maps. So Scrapie into the uphill slalom, holding on to a slight lead in the first run here. Still a lot of work left to be done. Evon fighting hard to try and maintain a very close distance behind Scrapie here. Going into the first uphill section, it's going to be Scrapie who clips the corner, and that is not what you want to see there. He still recovers it to not be quite as devastating, but there is some strong potential for the knockout here from Evon in the first run. And there you have it. Evon gets the knockout in the first run. That clip, unfortunately, was just too much, and Evon gets it in the knockout. Race number 2, though. Scrapie, it's all about that ice section. That's going to be make it or break it for him here on Slalom. He is lucky in having that 2-point advantage in the overall grand final, but this is still the potential 3-0 sweep for Scrapie if he can find a way to make this map his. It's definitely far from over just yet as well. We've seen Evon actually being the one who's made a few more mistakes here than Scrapie has in this grand final. So Scrapie If he can clean it up just a little bit, there's a chance he can still win it here. Scrapie off to the early lead as well, this time on Slalom into the uphill section, about 0.2 over Evon. For those wondering, Bicycle will be the next map on the table as well, which is Scrapie's second pick of the grand finals. But right now, we are in the second pick for Evon, which was Slalom. Evon, though, falling behind. Did Evon go for an inside cut this time and fail? But this time, he actually made it through just barely. So Scrapie, he's got a lead, but it's not enough to set for the knockout just yet. But we'll see if that can continue. And now it has. Scrapie, he's going to get the knockout here. That should be the knockout for Scrapie. There you have it. The KO answered back with a KO from Scrapie. Exactly what you want to see here. The confidence still high. Scrapie making his moves here in the grand finals. Scrapie, though, trying to make the necessary impact here to get this one all the way through. Scrapie starting off this third run through. Barely in the lead here at the start, but a lead nonetheless. Evon already falling a little bit behind here around the first few corners. Scrapie trying to keep it clean around the edges. Evon starting to edge right back up into it. Still at this point, it's anybody's race to take away. And as we've seen, one small mistake is all it takes for that other driver to push their way through to the knockout. Scrapie, though, keeping the pressure high, making sure he's very attentive not to make the mistakes here. This is the section that's make it or break it, though. Scrapie going into it a little bit risky around the edges. Evon goes over the wall. That's going to be it. Evon, he went over the wall. Scrapie's going to win another knockout here. What a way for it to go down, but Scrapie wins a double KO now, and he's just 2 away from the victory here in the grand finals. Evon struggling under the pressure here. Scrapie approaching match point, 2 races away. And Scrapie is looking to make the dream a reality here in the last chance qualifier. Evon feeling the heat, feeling the pressure, but Scrapie, it could all be taken away in just a moment, so he has to continue to perform at the level he has been throughout this grand final so far. Now is not the time to let it back. He's got to continue pushing. Right now, an early lead, only about 0.1 second over Evon. Definitely nowhere near a win just yet, but still a great start coming out from Scrapie here, and you can just see it in the way he's driving around this track. The confidence is very high for Scrapie right now. Rightfully so, too. Going into the first ice section here, it's going to be Scrapie. Look at that clean performance around the first turn. And it's going to be Evon. Did he go down and out again? I think Evon might have had an error potentially again. And this is where things are very scary for Evon. Right now, Scrapie, he's got a 1 second lead. Evon recovered just enough to keep himself within striking distance, but Scrapie very close to approaching knockout territory here. 1.27 seconds. The knockout comes up at 1.5, and Scrapie, he is trying to push to that knockout before he has a chance of risking it on the big ice turn there, and it's definitely the smart move here. If I'm Scrapie, I'd be going for the same thing here. He doesn't want to risk potentially losing it in that final turn, but right now, he has time on his side to work with to go into it. He can take the safe approach here. Here we go into the ice. Scrapie, this is all he has left on the track to close this one out, and he's going to have a clean turn coming out of it. Beautifully done, Scrapie. He's going to close it out with a knockout as he crosses the finish line. And that is match point on the table for Scrapie, fully focused and ready to get the job done here. Looking for the perfect 3-0 sweep in the grand finals, and he is just one map win away. And now one single 2-lap race away from making that happen. Evon, will he fall to the pressure here, or will he rise to the occasion? Scrapie moments away from crossing the finish line here and finding himself as the last chance qualifier victor But now Evon, can he go for the full reverse sweep, not only in this map, but overall? He's got so much work left to do in Scrapie. All he needs is just this one race, and it will be his. Going into the slalom section here, Scrapie keeping a slight lead. Evon trying to make a dent here as they go into the uphill. It is neck and neck. And Evon, has he gone down and out here? He's a half second behind, 0.6 seconds behind. Is this the end for Evon? Scrapie keeping it clean into the ice, 0.6 seconds of lead time. He's going into knockout territory here, Scrapie. He is so close to pushing this to a knockout, but Evon somehow 1.47 at the peak separation here keeps it just out of knockout territory. But with a 1 second lead, Scrapie just has to hold on and continue to push here. The pressure definitely at its all-time peak for the grand finals here. Scrapie looking to be the victor of the last chance qualifier. 1.34 seconds of lead time. Make it 1.4 here. And Scrapie is still not done just yet. Evon barely keeping the dream alive here. Going into the uphill slalom, Scrapie just needs to hang on and play this one comfortably. No room for errors, but no need for risks at this point. 1 second of separation going into the final ice turn here. Scrapie looking to hold on and make it into the grand finals here. Going into it, he maintains over the ice. There's no hit happening here today. Scrapie moving in for the finish and the knockout with it. It's going to be Scrapie to take this one and the grand finals. 3-0 sweep over Evon. What a way for it to come down to. Scrapie 3-0 will win the last chance qualifier in a commanding fashion. And that's how it's done, guys. Incredible performance. Huge shout out to Scrapie here and a big congratulations. A well-deserved spot earned in tomorrow's playoffs for the TMGL. He'll be joining the top 8 from the regular season to really put himself to an even further test and see if he can fight his way to the championship tomorrow. But a huge feat nonetheless from Scrapie today. He's able to be the last chance champion here, guys. Incredible performance overall. A big shout out to all of the drivers, though. Evon, a great performance on the day. Several of the other drivers as well showing a very strong competitive nature. But at the end of the day, Scrapie, he gets it done, pulls off the big win here in such a big way. And just an incredible way to see things continue forward. Because right now, guys, the season's not over yet for Scrapie now. Tomorrow, he's going to bring that fight into the finals to see what he can do and see if he can push this one all the way into a TMGL season championship, guys. Be sure to join us tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss this, guys. Scrapie in the championships tomorrow. We'll see if he can get it done. You guys have been amazing. Be sure to follow the channel here, guys, if you haven't. A big shout out once again to our sponsors, Logitech G and XP Sports. Be sure to check them out in the panels down below. Guys, it's been a pleasure to be with you throughout today's coverage, but this is where we're going to end it for today. But definitely be sure to tune in tomorrow for those finals, guys. We'll see you there, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.